We continue here on the Westmoreland Sports Network. Sean Meyers now joined by the head coach at the Norwin Knights, Mike Brown. His team winners of three straight, now 3-1 on the season, and more importantly, 1-0 in Class 6A play with a victory at Seneca Valley in emphatic fashion. Mike, congrats on that big win. Congrats on the terrific start to the season. I'm sure you're very happy with where your team is at. What has stood out about this early season success that has you believing it could be sustainable the rest of the year?
Yeah, thank you. Really appreciate you guys having us. But I think it's all right. We're healthy. We're taking care of our body. During the Saturday and Sunday and the weekends, we don't have anybody, knock on wood, injured right now. But it's just the way the kids are working. They're working on Monday through Thursday. They understand, the schemes that we want to run. They understand what we're going to change each and every week, and they're almost taking it like a business aspect to it, which is pretty cool to see that they're locked in. Having 14 to 18-year-olds, sometimes they kind of lose focus pretty quick, but these guys are locked in, and that has a lot to do with our senior leader. So I'm impressed with what they're doing right now, but they do understand, it's a long season still.
It felt like last year this team was destined to do some big things after that 2-0 start, including the big win against Penn Trafford to open the season. It seemed like it was a combination of a rash of injuries hitting and then maybe the team losing some confidence as well. Is it a different feel with the mentality and the mindset at this point in 2025 with your guys?
Yeah, I do think, there's a little bit of that, but I also think it's the depth aspect that we have too. Where we can kind of sub guys out if they need a blow, which I think in the past we really haven't had that. It's actually pretty nice to see, your offensive line all come out and you're sending a whole new defensive line in. But that was kind of the goal. We've always talked about the last two seasons is getting to that point, because that's what you need, in 6A football. You need the quality, up front, but you also need the depth at any position, whether there's injury, someone needs a blow during the game. So I think that's our biggest, thing that we've kind of changed is we have these quality backups that really can do it, and there's not really that much difference going into it. So we're going to keep on doing that, and we're going to keep on working, and hopefully we keep having success.
I know that two impressive victories against Kiski area, Greater Latrobe. Certainly, there's an argument to be made that you were maybe the deserving team to win against Penn Trafford, even though the breaks didn't go your way late. But there was still maybe from the outside a question of would that translate into Class 6A play? And I think your team answered that at least 1 week in with that win at Seneca Valley. And you really didn't leave any doubt, 56-13. What in particular stood out about that performance on the road against the Raiders?
Yeah, I mean, we had to overcome quite a bit last Friday. We had a little bit of a bus transport issue. We were a little late to the game. We like to get there early, kind of get a little workout in before, get the guys ready. So we, as a staff, were a little eerie about how we were going to come out, because in the past, that kind of been our problem, starting off quick and sometimes getting into a hole that we couldn't get out. So we were really impressed. The kids overcame everything. They overcame the bus ride, a little bit change in our schedule. But I think the biggest thing that we started from the first whistle. And again, that's been another goal, all off season, is starting quick. So I think that's what really got, us moving, is from the get go. We got, a 3 and out, and then we got down and scored, and we had success early, which was really cool to see, because in the past, especially playing away, we had trouble with that. So again, the kids are buying into what we're trying to preach to them, and, they're doing the work on the field.
We ask a lot of questions about Tristan. We've talked to him as well, and deservedly so. He's the quarterback. He's been a star player and a real leader for your team. But your running back, Giovanni Rotroff, is having a terrific season as well, very consistently productive. Why has he been so good?
Yeah, I think he'll be the first one to tell you. A lot has to do with that offensive line of his. They're moving people up front. They're creating holes. But, he's not going to be the guy that outruns you, and he doesn't want to outrun you. He's the guy that's going to put his head down, find a crease, and lower his shoulder, and he's going to be a punishing runner, which is what we need. We can ask him to run the ball 30 times. We can ask him to run the ball 15. It really doesn't matter. He's the ultimate team guy. He'll, like I said, he'll be the first one to tell everybody the success is because of his offensive line. The offensive line will tell you they're having success because G's a hard runner. That's the type of team, we have. But, G really bought into the offseason workouts. He really put on the muscle that he needed to be able, to run the ball 20-plus times a game. And it's really showing now where he's punishing defenders. He's getting those extra yards. But it also helps if, we do miss a block. More than likely, he's going to fall forward for 2 or 3. So that's also huge for us to be able to get it. I mean, I was doing the stats earlier today. He's rushing for over 100 yards, but you see, with the long category, which how far has he ran or the biggest gain he's ran, it's 17, it's 20. It's not those 70-yard runs. So he's slowly but surely punishing people, and he's going to wear people down, which is awesome to see. It's because of his hard work.
Potter Brzezinski has really emerged this season. Probably not a surprise when you consider his bloodlines. He's found the end zone quite a bit as a receiver, and he proved that he can do it on special teams as well. Given his frame, given his, football DNA, how good can he be? Yeah,
I think his potential is above the ceiling. I don't think there's really a ceiling for that. I mean, the kid, he's all of 6'3", he can fly. We had Luke Denny down during the summer working out with us, and they were stride for stride. So he definitely can play at that level. I think so. So whether it's offense, whether it's defense, obviously, he can do it on special teams too. He has a great future, but right now, again, just like G, he's starting to see that success through his hard work. And again, we're excited to see where he can go, and when he graduates, to see where he can play.
I'm going to ask about North Allegheny momentarily because that's obviously a big-time matchup looming. But I do want to go back to week 0 and the loss against Penn Trafford in heartbreaking fashion. I know you tried to stay politically correct after that. A moment like that, it feels like it really could go either way for a team, even though it was so early in the season. Could you rally behind it, or would that kind of linger and loom into the next week's game? What was the response? How did you make sure your team used that maybe as a motivating factor?
Yeah. I mean, I think it was the best thing for us. And I told those kids that, or our players, it was the best thing for it. I think if you ask any of our players right now, that's probably the last thing that they're thinking about during this season, which was awesome. Because again, as a coach and a coaching staff, you're kind of playing psychologist trying to see, is it going to linger? Is it going to ruin a season? But again, these kids prevailed. Whatever we've thrown at them, or whatever, has been thrown at them, they've overcame it, and they've overcame it together, which is awesome to see. But I know I still get questions about it. Hopefully, moving forward, we can get some bigger wins and talk about that. But I think it's the best thing that happened to us this season, to be honest with you.
Talking to Mike Brown, the head coach of the Norwin Knights, well, you said hopefully you can get bigger wins. There's very few that would qualify as a bigger win than knocking off North Allegheny. This is a team that each and every year you can assume is going to be one of the very best, not only in Class 6A, but in the entire WPIAL. And the Tigers are off to another great start. So what makes them so good?
Yeah, I mean, it's business as usual with them, year in and year out. And when something like that happens, you have to, tip your cap to the coaching staff. Obviously, Coach Walker is one of the most legendary coaches, to ever coach in the WPIAL. He has a great staff behind him. Again, just like all great WPIAL teams, they're very, very physical. They're well disciplined, and when they need to make a play, they make a play. So again, we're going to have our hands full. We know, what North Allegheny is all about. We respect the heck out of them, and then we know that, we're going to have to go in. We're going to have to match that physicality. And if we want, to take that step to be in the next level, that's what we're going to have to do. We're going to have to be physical. We're going to be well disciplined. When we call somebody to make a play, they're going to have to do it.
What else stands out as keys to success against NA?
Yeah, I think defensively we got to tackle. They got a great back that he's a bruiser. Their quarterback, he's a gamer. He'll pull the ball when, if we let him pull the ball, he'll pull it and he'll go. And we found that out last year. Um, he took one for about 60 yards. And then obviously their offensive line is, your typical North Allegheny offensive line, which is a really good physical offensive line. And then, wide receivers, they make plays everywhere. They're running screens. They're getting downfield. And then defensively, they're very sound. They're going to make you try to throw the ball. They're going to try to stop the run. Linebackers are triggering. They got a defensive end that is probably one of the best, in the WPIAL. And they got a couple shutdown corners. So, again, they got a, well-balanced, good football team. So, that's going to be something that we're going to have to see, and it's going to test us. And hopefully, we can come out of that test.
Lastly, Mike, I know you and your team probably established goals before the season. Perhaps you would revisit and adjust those. But what will ultimately constitute a successful 2025 season for the Knights?
Yeah, I think we don't really look at the end result right now. We're kind of focused on the process. But if you, finished at the end of the season, it's, get into the playoffs and get into, a WPIAL championship. That's why you should be playing, every year. It shouldn't be, just win a couple. Let's just be a little better than last year. If you're going to play in anything, if you're going to compete in anything, you need to win, and you need to win a championship. And I think our guys realize that. But I think right now our focus is week by week. We can't jump ahead. We can't look behind and things like that. So right now, we're focused on this week. We're focused on a great week of practice. Then we're focused on playing, one of the more legendary programs in WPIAL history.
Mike, thank you so much for doing this. And again, congrats on the terrific start and good luck. Hopefully you can keep it up going forward.
Yeah, appreciate it. And thank you guys for all you do for high school football. Really appreciate it.
That is Mike Brown, the head coach of the Norwin Knights.